Oh!
If having cameras everywhere has taught us one thing, it's that there are some pretty terrible people out there. Every day, we're treated to footage of people behaving badly. This can be as simple as being rude or disrespectful, but it sometimes includes straight up assault and murder. In this video, we've compiled some of the worst, the most twisted humans ever caught on camera. So, hold on tight, because this one is going to be rough.
Excuse me, what are you doing?
At first, this video might seem perfectly innocent. After all, who doesn't go to the store to pick up a few items now and then? However, if you live in the UK, you might recognize this man as Kyle Clifford, the crossbow killer. In 2024, he murdered 3 women in Hertfordshire, one of whom was his ex-girlfriend who had recently broken up with him. This footage shows him buying cans of petrol, rope, and duct tape, some of which he would use to tie up his victims. He also bought a crossbow, which would become his weapon of choice during the grisly attack. Footage from the day of the murder shows Clifford arriving at the house and leaving some 5 hours later after leaving his ex's mother and 2 daughters dead.
Do you accept, Kyle, that based on the evidence that this is a premeditated murder of 3 people?
No comment.
Do you accept that you have meticulously planned this murder from the moment that you split up the bodies?
No comment.
Interrogation footage shows Kyle in a wheelchair, as he had actually tried to end his own life during the ensuing manhunt. However, using the same crossbow, he only managed to paralyze himself from the waist down. He was later sentenced to life in prison. This security footage shows one of the youngest convicted killers in American history, 15-year-old Mississippi native Carly Gregg. It shows the young girl entering the home she shared with her mother. You can't tell at first, but she is actually concealing a gun behind her back. Carly then paces around the home for several seconds. Moments later, you can hear gunshots ring out. The young killer then moves to the kitchen, where she picks up her phone and starts texting and playing with her dogs. With her mother dead in the other room, she would wait for her stepfather to come home, at which point she would attempt to murder him but fail. The 15-year-old was later sentenced to life in prison for the attack. Believe it or not, all of this stemmed from Carly's being caught using cannabis. This is Axel Rudakabana, now one of the most infamous killers in British history. This footage shows him walking down the street and pacing at a bus stop. He is actually on his way to commit a terrible attack on a dance class full of young girls. He takes a taxicab to the dance class, wearing a mask and hoodie to conceal his identity. Footage from outside the building shows him attempting to get in. He would later find his way in and start stabbing multiple young girls, killing 3 of them and wounding several others. One of the girls was stabbed 122 times. He was later sentenced to 13 consecutive life sentences. To make matters worse, there was still no explanation for what he did. The attack led to massive protest and religious attacks in Southport. However, despite his name, Axel was, in fact, born in Wales. In 2013, an 8-year-old girl by the name of Cheris was ejected from a Jacksonville, Florida Walmart. Footage shows the young girl interacting with an older man who had a history of sex offenses against young girls. The footage from the store shows a mother shopping with her 3-year-old daughters at a local Dollar General. A man then appears and starts interacting with the family, claiming he has a $150 gift card to Walmart and can help buy the girls some items. He even drives the family to the store. But it was all about getting time with the girls to gain their trust. Once he gets a second, he leads the 8-year-old Cherish away, saying he's off to buy the family food.
911 Robinson.
Hi, that Walmart. I'm in turn. I think my daughter's been taken.
What do you mean?
Taken by a stranger. I can't find her.
Okay, and she was last seen with this man?
Yes, he said he was going to McDonald's and he hasn't been there because the store is closed right now. I had a bad feeling about him.
Okay, how long have you been looking for you? When was the last time you saw your daughter? How long ago?
About half an hour ago.
He later killed the young girl and left her in a marsh. Fortunately, he was captured and sentenced to death. Here we have footage of another dangerous killer. This time it's 25-year-old Scarlett Blake. Blake had a reputation for being obsessed with violence, having previously killed a cat in what they claimed was an attempt to impress a romantic interest. The night this footage was taken, Blake escalated, locating a 30-year-old man who had been out drinking with his friends but had become lost. Blake would later hit the man on top of the head with a vodka bottle and drown him in a small lake. Meanwhile, cameras placed all over town captured the killer's calm movements before and after the brutal attack. Lots of killers get caught due to footage like this. It shows a couple buying a hacksaw, which they would later use to cut up the body of Sarah Mayhew before spreading her remains across London. Apparently, the couple had lured Mayhew to their flat for a tryst, but they secretly had plans to murder her the entire time. Other footage shows the female of the couple buying bleach, scouring pads, and other cleaning materials. Luckily, the two were caught quickly. Finally, a video with a happy ending. Still, it's a shame this one had to happen at all. This surveillance footage shows a man following a young girl into her apartment building, likely with evil intentions on his mind. However, as the 9-year-old makes her way through the hallways, she starts to realize she's being followed. So she doubles back, going out the door she came in while the man has his back turned. She then finds a companion to walk her the rest of the way. Good for her. On Boxing Day in 2022, two men got into an altercation with a young semi-pro footballer. Things apparently got heated because the pair spent 2 days stalking the 23-year-old, learning from his Facebook page that he would be at a specific club the night of the holiday. After smuggling a knife through security, the two men quickly located their victim and stabbed him in the chest, killing him. Footage shows the dance floor erupting into chaos as the attack goes down. The two were later caught on camera at a restaurant, where they smiled and even recreated the attack. Imagine being this much of a scumbag in public. Actually, strike that. Imagine being this much of a scumbag in public and knowing full well that you're a volunteer at a local church elementary school. This man is clearly just itching to take a photo of this girl without her knowing. You can even see him considering doing it or not doing it as he stares at her from behind.
Excuse me, what are you doing? No, I just saw you put that underneath her dress. Absolutely you did.
No, ma'am, I really wasn't.
You absolutely did.
Ma'am, I really wasn't. I promise.
Then show me your phone.
Get away from me.
Yes.
No, we're going to call security.
No, I really...
You absolutely did. And you were following me over in the children's section.
Because I have a sister who's pregnant. Ma'am, I really wasn't.
You've been extremely close to me this whole time. Please show me your phone.
No.
I really don't
Let's
mean
get
to.
security. Because this is absolutely wrong.
Finally, he makes his move. The only problem is he's immediately caught. So much for that job.
I really don't mean to.
No, you obviously did.
No, ma'am, please, I really don't
Nope,
mean
let's
to.
get security.
In 2019, a young man met up with 19-year-old Megan Newson, a former classmate of his. Footage shows the two entering her apartment, with the man looking more than a little intoxicated. She had offered him a place to stay after he had imbibed too much alcohol and drugs. Later that night, he would go on to assault, strangle, and stab her to death. Footage even shows him leaving the apartment in the morning, clearly aware that something terrible had happened. He later claimed to barely remember the attack. Fortunately, he was quickly apprehended and punished for his crime. This surveillance footage from Toronto actually shows an attempted murder caught on tape. The incident took place at around 10 p.m. A 25-year-old was parked on the side of the road working on his car, which had broken down. Two armed men then approached the man, shooting him multiple times before fleeing. Seems like a random act of violence because no motive was ever determined. Luckily, the young man lived. This chilling footage comes from one of the most cunning crimes in recent memory. The person using the wheelchair might first seem like a victim, but he is, in fact, the killer. That's Stephen Patrick Ansborough, and the door he's driving past repeatedly belongs to Jane Collinson, his future victim. At one point, she goes inside the woman's flat, leaving his chair at the door. He stays inside for more than 7 hours, during which he stabs the victim over 60 times. Next, he improvises a way to lock the deadbolt from the inside, thus concealing his crime. He then returns to his own flat where he slashes his throat to make it seem as if he had been attacked.
Stephen?
Yeah.
You, Stephen?
Do you want to just sit up? Right, Stephen.
Just a second.
Okay, I'll give you time.
Just a...
All right, Stephen. Okay. The time by my watch is 01:53 hours on Sunday the 5th of March 2023. This moment in time, I'm arresting you on suspicion of murder, okay? You do not have to say anything, but it may harm your defence if you do not mention when questioned, something you later rely on in court. Anything you do say may be given in evidence. Do you understand that caution?
Yeah.
Okay.
What we're presented with is the body of Jane Collinson, which was discovered on Saturday the 4th of March 2023 inside Barnard Castle. She was deceased and she has numerous injuries, Stephen. Are you responsible for her death or those injuries?
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
Police later confronted Ansborough, who eventually pled guilty. This footage shows a man enjoying a drink at his local pub before treating himself to some Chinese food. However, this man had actually just killed his long-term partner in a jealous rage, strangling her at her home just days before her birthday. It's always amazing how these killers can just go about their business like nothing is happening. What could possibly be lower than murdering a child? Still, as we've already seen, tragedies like this happen all the time. This footage shows the man accused of killing 9-year-old Olivia Pratt Corbel on the doorstep of her home in Dovecot. However, the girl was not the intended target. Instead, she was hit by a stray bullet fired by a drug dealer who had a grievance with a neighbor. CCTV cameras caught the man, a Liverpool native, running through the streets moments after the shooting had gone wrong.
So, about to be a newly single mom, and I am in the middle of a divorce. My husband is being incredible though, like really and truly, like we're working together, everything's great, we're splitting everything down the middle, like, you know, everything is good. It is a very civil divorce with our daughter in mind, and I really appreciate that. However, you know, I'm gonna be on my own, single income right now, and he will be helping with her, he will be supporting her, you know, so essentially, like, I'm really thankful for that, and that I will not have to worry so much about supporting her. However, I will be on a very limited income, with buying a new house and, you know, paying a mortgage and all that stuff.
For people in bad relationships, divorce can be a godsend. However, things don't always go as planned. This footage shows a social media post from Jennifer Sheffield, who is announcing that she's getting a divorce. You can tell from the video that she's very happy, and she even talks about how civil the divorce has been so far. It's kind of heartwarming to know that she's so optimistic.
So, I've never done this before. I've never been on my own before. So, if you have any tips, saving money, making money, anything like that, like, I would really appreciate it. Like, you know, coffee at home, you know, I take caffeine pills, I do my own hair, nails, everything. Like, I do all that. So, yeah, if you just have any tips, like, I would really appreciate it, because, like, I'm a little scared right now.
Unfortunately, not long after she filmed this video, her soon-to-be ex would kill her and himself. This footage shows what some are calling one of the most horrifying murders in Houston history. According to reports, a man named Steven Anderson was walking down the street to get his mail. As he passes a driveway, he hears the sound of a screeching car and turns around to look. Moments later, the car strikes him at a high speed before reversing and hitting the man again. As neighbors frantically call 911, the suspect returns to the victim, turns him over, and then kisses him. Moments later, she stabs him 9 times. The killer has a long history of mental illness and did not even know the victim, a fact that makes it much more chilling. In what almost seems reminiscent of the infamous Son of Sam murders, a stranger approached 2 people sitting in a parked van and fired several shots into the window. The incident happened in Toronto, Canada. One of the men died at the scene, while another received non-life-threatening injuries. What makes all of this so terrible is that nobody knows what the motive for the attack could have possibly been.
We know that I want to admit it. I am admitting the offences, but I don't really want to go into detail.
Here.
Okay. We appreciate that.
And what offences are you admitting, David?
As you've just described to me.
Okay. In terms of the corpses? Okay. Have you been recording yourself doing those things? Recording yourself corpses?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Did you record who they were? Any details on the hard drive?
This one is going to be difficult to explain, but let's start with the facts. The person being interviewed here is David Fuller, a Kent native. Between 2007 and 2020, Fuller abused the bodies of at least 101 women and girls in Kent area hospitals, where he worked as an electrician.
Yes. Oh, okay. Sorry. Did you record their names?
Yes.
Okay. Did you record their ages?
Yes.
Okay. David, this is probably the hardest question. Alright? Well, the hardest one for you to answer. But when you try and feel comfortable answering it, why did you record what was going on?
As if that's not bad enough, Fuller was also a killer and was given 2 life sentences for killing 2 girls in 1987. At least we know he isn't going anywhere. This footage from Highland Park, Michigan, is some of the most disturbing we've seen yet. It shows a woman running down the street in broad daylight as a man who had just jumped out of an SUV fires his gun at her. The woman was hit several times and eventually succumbed to her injuries. Though it clearly looks like a targeted attack, police have little information to go on. If you know anything, make sure to reach out. Being a rapper has always been a tough gig. That's because the scene is often rife with gang activity, which can sometimes lead to bad situations. The gentleman in the red beanie is Julio Fulio, a Florida-based rapper with a bright future. Here, he had just shown up for a gig he'd been hired to play. After the event, he went down the street to an after-party, posting on live stream as he did so. Meanwhile, various CCTV cameras captured at least 3 shooters firing shots at the car the rapper was riding in, killing him. Three gang members were later tried for the case, though they have yet to be convicted. Curiously, none of them posted a bottle of Don Julio tequila to social media after the incident, which prosecutors say could be a signal of involvement. This may not involve murder, but it's still one of the most despicable things we've seen. This paramedic is stealing 60 pounds from a 94-year-old who has just passed away minutes after his call to help save her. He does see the camera and puts it back, but the damage is clearly already done. I mean, how low can you possibly go, man? Believe it or not, scenes like this used to be a lot more common. This footage from a Brazilian courtroom shows the moment a son pulls out a gun and shoots his father's accused killer. The young man had apparently smuggled a .38 caliber revolver into the proceedings with the sole intention of getting revenge for his father. Though the man was shot 6 times, he actually survived the encounter, even after the youth hit him with a gun. He was later arrested for attempted murder.
I'm saying to pull the trigger to kill your sons. Memory.
The loser with the word killer written across his chest is TJ Lane. In 2012, he shot 6 students at Chardon High School in Ohio, leading to 3 deaths. He later pled guilty, as evidenced by his shirt, and was sentenced to 3 life sentences. In this disturbing case from the UK, 2 12-year-old boys perpetrated a terrible crime, murdering a 19-year-old man during a confrontation in the park. Footage shows the victim walking in a park with a friend and visiting a petrol station just moments before getting into a confrontation with the 2 boys. The kids use a machete to attack the man, killing him, while his friends manage to escape.
I was outside in the living room, and her phone rang. Then she answered the call and she started to cry. I asked her what happened. She said Sean got stabbed. I said, what happened? She started to cry. She cannot talk.
He wants his own house. He wants his own car. You know, mommy, I want to shine in my life. I can't see my son married, don't have a wife. I can't see no grandchildren from. One day we will see each other, right? I love you, Sean.
The perpetrators were the youngest people to be convicted of murder in the United Kingdom since 1993. One of the biggest cases in the US in recent years is that of Laken Riley, a 22-year-old nursing student who was killed by a man who had entered the U.S. illegally. In February of 2024, she was out for a morning run, where she was attacked and killed. Footage from the perpetrator's trial shows the girl jogging as well as the killer, who was lurking around on campus. Footage from a police body cam shows police questioning the 26-year-old perpetrator, who denied involvement, even when asked about scratches and bruises on his body.
What injuries did you observe?
I noticed on his right arm, his bicep, there was a scratch, which I identified as a potential defensive wound. On his left arm, he had a forearm scratch that was very similar, which in my mind looked like fingernail scratches to me.
He was later found guilty and sentenced to life in prison. One of the more baffling cases to come out of the UK involved Anita Rose, a dog walker who was murdered near her home in Suffolk. CCTV footage shows the woman walking her spaniel in the early morning. She was later found with serious injuries to the face and head. However, aside from this chilling footage, nobody has any information as to what might have happened to her. They only have the brief footage of a man who was also in the area, though he is not considered to be a suspect. It might not seem it at first, but this is probably some of the most chilling footage you'll ever see. The girl in the video is 11-year-old Charlie Brucia. In 2004, she was walking behind a car in Sarasota, Florida, when a man approached her, grabbed her by the arm, and then pulled her away off camera. She was later assaulted and killed by the man, who was out on parole at the time. The incident actually led to stricter laws being passed regarding certain offenders, and a bill was named in Charlie's honor. Carjacking is a crime that is growing more and more common. However, in this case, the perpetrator does an incredibly sloppy job. He gets inside the car while the owner is just a few feet away and while her mother is still in the passenger seat. For her part, the older woman attempted to prevent the man from stealing the vehicle, resulting in some minor injuries. The man then drove off in the car, which he crashed not long after this incident. It's truly shocking what some people are capable of. However, one of the worst things is when people have to die for something so innocent. This man has just complimented a woman's tattoo as she exits the 7-Eleven, but moments later, her boyfriend comes up and starts slapping him for the comment. Moments later, he pulls a gun on the man, pointing it right at his face. The man attempts to grab the gun, but he is immediately shot. He later passed away while the shooter was sentenced to life in prison. Here's a video that, while terrible, at least has some heartwarming elements. A bus driver was attacked by a man with a knife when he immediately began fighting back. During the altercation, a boy with cerebral palsy jumps into the action to help the driver close the door. The two even share a high five at the end, though it's unclear whether the driver was injured in the assault. This insane incident happened in Lynchburg, Virginia. Apparently, these two high school track runners were bumping into one another, causing one of the girls to become frustrated. So, she took a baton and smashed the young lady in her head in front of an entire audience of people. Though the girl was okay, neither attacker nor her coach apologized for the incident. Imagine how much worse this could have been. This might seem perfectly innocent to you. After all, it's just an old woman dragging a heavy suitcase through the streets. You might even feel inclined to go and help her. However, what is actually happening here is that this 80-year-old woman, who is dressed as a nun, is disposing of the body of her friend who had actually died of natural causes a year before. Police are unsure why the woman kept her friend in the suitcase and why she ended up randomly dumping her in the street. Given her age and mental state, it seems we'll never know. The North Olmsted, Ohio community was rocked by a senseless murder of a toddler. Footage from the day of the incident shows a mentally disturbed woman walking around a grocery store brandishing a knife. After spotting a woman with her 3-year-old, she follows them out to the parking lot, where she later stabbed the boy and his mother. The boy died at the scene, and the woman, who was later ruled incompetent to stand trial, was placed in a mental hospital. While we're on the subject of grade A scumbags, how about this guy? This 83-year-old woman just went inside a convenience store to collect her winnings after scoring $200 on a lottery scratch-off. But as she makes her way to her car, a man approaches her and tries to steal her purse. When the clerk comes out to try and usher the man away, he makes a run for the older woman, pulling her to the ground in an effort to take her money. The man was later identified by police, who already had a long rap sheet on him. Here's a bizarre one. This Florida healthcare worker was arrested for filming herself twerking and dancing on the heads of her disabled patients. She was later arrested for exploitation of a disabled person after posting the videos on TikTok. Some people have argued that this may have been a joke and that the patients, all men, were in on the fun. Others have said that their mental state means they cannot consent to being filmed or to the dancing. What do you think? If you don't remember the movie Body of Evidence, it involves a woman accused of killing her lover during sex. Well, this young woman, Taylor Schabusiness, is on trial for the same thing. Except she also killed and dismembered the man afterwards, This footage shows her finding out she's being convicted, at which point she attempts to attack her lawyer.
Stop it. Stop it. Rachel, call.
Things did not go well. You can Google the details if you want, but just be prepared. They aren't for the faint of heart. In South and Central America, motorcycle hitmen have been widely used since the 1980s. However, these murders typically happen outside. In this case, a gym teacher was leading a physical education class for elderly people when a man ran in wearing a helmet and shot him at least 15 times. Authorities believe that the incident might be the result of a love triangle, but the use of gang tactics has led others to suggest there might be more at play.
You got a gun on here. You a nigga? You got a gun on here. You got a gun on here. 2025. You got a gun on here.
America loves guns. You can't really debate that one. That's one of the many reasons why you should avoid talking about heated subjects in public. In this case, a discussion about politics on a Charlotte, North Carolina bus got so heated that one of the men took out a gun. After a few moments of arguing, the man fired a weapon into the floor of the bus before exiting. Believe it or not, the altercation actually continued in the street, but it did not end in any injuries. Not all murders are intentional. However, that doesn't change the outcome. This footage shows a man getting into an argument with a stranger over his cycling on the pavement with his friends. The cyclist attempts to ride away, but the man says something to make his friend angry. He strikes the man once, which leads to a fatal head injury, killing the 40-year-old outright. It just serves as a reminder of what can happen when you throw careless punches. Sometimes, people trying to do good end up doing a whole lot of harm. In this case, an animal rights group in Paris was filmed violently wrenching a puppy away from a homeless man. Both the puppy and the man are sobbing the entire time. It's possible that they are all that one another have. The good news is that the man who heads the organization completely disagreed with the actions and had the puppy returned. This one will have you looking a little more closely every time someone serves you a meal. Apparently, a maid in India has been secretly mixing urine into the food of the family she works for over the course of years. Apparently, this resulted in at least one of the family members getting very sick. Now they have the video proof, and it's unlikely she's going to get off very easily knowing the subcontinent's penal system. Much like the DC universe, if you see a person dressed like the Joker in the real world, something terrible is probably about to happen. That was the case when a man who had recently been fired from a convenience store put on a costume and began causing chaos in his former place of employment. Armed with a fire extinguisher, she managed to do several thousands of dollars of damage before the police showed up to cart him away. Where's the Dark Knight when you need him?
Come on.
If you don't like the car you just bought, or you have a problem with the service, you're free to leave a bad review. This CarMax buyer, however, decided to take his complaints a little bit further. He charged into the showroom, running over people and causing massive damage. A total of 8 people were injured, 6 of them seriously. Apparently, the man was just there to get his vehicle appraised, so it's pretty clear he didn't care for their estimate. He escaped, but later turned himself in to the police. Home invasions are one of the scariest crimes in the world. You really have to be desperate to go into someone's home without knowing what's waiting for you inside. This footage shows a family in Edison, New Jersey being terrorized by 3 suspects who broke in looking for keys to their high-end cars. The family described the men as showing zero fear as they ransacked the house. Fortunately, nobody was hurt, especially considering there were kids in the house.
Bring it up!
Oh!
Here's another terrible human robbing and assaulting an elderly person over a few dollars in cash. Luckily, the 79-year-old victim only sustained minor injuries in the attack. Still, there isn't a hole deep enough for these people who prey on the old, young, and weak. Truly shameful.
Give me money back. Give me that money back. Ah. Hey. Ooh. Another. Come on,
yeah. Nuts.
Given all the terrible deeds we've witnessed in this video, let's end on a clip where there aren't any human victims. In this case, you can see a man attacking a slot machine in Oklahoma after losing all of his money.
Ooh, you gotta stop.
Did you really?
Guys, let's go.
The man is clearly not having a good day, but wait until he finds out how much those machines cost to fix, because all of that is going on his tab.
Do you guys have keys for the adjoining doors? Like the middle door? Because I think there's a room that's open on the left side of it.
For real?
Maybe, I don't know. It's elevator.
Do not do that to me, please. I already kicked someone out last week.
For what?
There was a guy in the room.
Okay.
Was it last week? But they should have it. We called the police.
There are a lot of ways to get caught for a crime, but ordering pizza is pretty uncommon. This footage from New Jersey shows police arriving at a hotel where they are conducting a search for a missing man. What they don't know yet is that the man has been killed, and the 3 killers have stolen his debit card and used it to go on a shopping spree.
Soft. Yeah. Smells funky. See? Is that a receipt? You go to Walmart for what they? I didn't know. February 29th. It's been a while. What? It's been a while. Yeah.
One of the things they bought was a Papa John's pizza, which ended up being the smoking gun tying them to the crime.
You guys checked the dirt floor?
Somebody did yesterday.
Yesterday?
Is somebody there now?
No, I don't know. I don't trust no more. You never know.
As if that wasn't bold enough, one of the killers actually went to the police pretending to be the victim so that he could get some of his items back. Talk about bold.
What were they gonna bring it to me?
No, just if they have to get in touch with you, or and we can't call you, they'll come knock on your door, or come find you wherever we can find you.
Is everything, because I didn't get an inventory of what was there.
So what'll happen is when you get your property, there'll be an inventory of what you're getting, and you'll sign for what you're getting. So if there's anything missing at that point, that's...
What did I sign for when
just your shoes. So you sign for what we give back to you. You're not signing for what we're taking at this point, all right?
Now the phone and the ID.
So that was the other issue the county gave me.
Yeah, I don't have anything.
So I guess the phones and stuff like that, you're gonna have to prove that they're yours, because there's no, like, you know what I mean? Like,
something about the phone.
So like
the pin.
If you have the pin, they can give it. Do you have the pin for them? What's that?
What, the pin to the phone? Well, I don't want to. Okay. I'll tell them, like, if that's what they want to prove.
I get you don't want to give me the passcode. That's fine, but I don't know if it'll help speed it up or not. But that's probably what they're going to require
from you.
I can tell them. I'm like, look, he gave me the password. It's if it works, then they'll be like, all right.
Yeah, only reason I didn't, because I don't want them to go and.
Well, they're probably going to need to unlock it. So
yeah.
So to see it's yours.